Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, listen to me closely. You cannot carry the oil and cling to comfort at the same time. The anointing, that sacred assignment, doesn't come cheap. It will cost you. Not in coins or applause or convenience. It will cost you your comfort, your complacency, your casual compromise with mediocrity. See, everybody wants the crown, but few want the crushing. Everybody wants the platform, but few want the process. The oil you're asking for is pressed from pressure. It's born in obscurity. It's extracted in isolation. And before it blesses others, it will break you first. Let me say it loud and clear. You can't walk in power and still live for pleasure. You can't be a warrior for the kingdom and a worshiper of comfort. Something's got to go, and it won't be the call of God. You say you want the anointing, you cry out for purpose, you post about elevation. But let's get something straight from the beginning. The anointing is never cheap. The oil you're asking for doesn't come without a cost. It's not gifted to the casual or the comfortable. It's not handed out to those who want the glory but refuse the grinding. No, the oil comes with a price tag that demands everything you're not ready to let go of. You don't get to carry divine power while living in human comfort. Let that sink in. You can't walk in heaven's authority while still clinging to earthly attachments. You want to carry fire, but you don't want to feel the heat. You want to shift atmospheres, break generational cycles, speak life into dry bones, but you're still trying to hold on to your comfort zone like it's your lifeline. Hear this truth loud and clear. God does not pour oil on ease. He pours it on endurance. People admire the shine, but they forget the crushing. They admire the elevation, but ignore the isolation. You see the result, but not the refining. You see the oil flowing now, but you didn't see the tears that fell when no one was looking. You didn't see the sacrifices made in silence, the prayers whispered through pain, the moments of loneliness where comfort was nowhere to be found, but obedience still stood tall. The anointing doesn't show up when you feel like it. It doesn't arrive when you're at your best, when your followers approve, or when life feels easy. It shows up when you're pressed, when you're emptied, when you've been broken in private and still choose to obey. That's where the oil is made. This is not a casual commitment. This is not a part-time purpose. You don't get to carry divine assignment while asking for a smooth ride. You want next-level influence? You want to be trusted with God-sized vision? Then prepare to be stretched beyond your human limits. The oil demands everything: your pride, your ego, your timeline, your comfort, your preferences, your reputation, even your relationships. If they keep you grounded in the familiar instead of walking toward your future. God doesn't anoint laziness. He doesn't bless convenience. He doesn't pour out power on the unwilling. He pours it on the ones who say, even if I lose sleep, even if I lose support, even if I lose approval, I will not lose my yes. That's who gets the oil. This isn't about talent. It's not about being the most qualified. It's about being consecrated. Are you set apart enough to be stretched? Are you willing to be crushed in places no one else can see, just so your life can carry a fragrance the world can't ignore? The oil isn't for decoration. It's for demonstration. It's the power behind your words. It's the authority in your footsteps. It's the fire in your prayers. It's the shift that happens when you walk into a room and darkness knows it has to flee. Not because of you, but because of the oil you carry. But don't forget, that oil costs something. So the next time you ask God to use you, make sure you're not asking for glory without the groaning. Make sure you're not asking for the result without embracing the refining. Because heaven does not anoint comfort. It anoints commitment. It anoints surrender. It anoints the ones who choose the narrow path when the crowd takes the wide road. It anoints the ones who let go of comfort for calling, who let go of safety for sanctification, who let go of convenience for consecration. Comfort feels good, but it lies to you. It tells you you're okay where you are. It whispers, don't stretch too far, don't risk too much, don't step out, you might fail. Comfort will pat you on the back while purpose slips through your fingers. It will keep you fed but never fulfilled. It will keep you busy but never built. Comfort is the enemy of calling, and if you're not careful, it will seduce you into settling for far less than what you were created for. You can't walk in your calling while clinging to your comfort zone. That place where you don't challenge your fears. That place where you keep your dreams locked in theory. That place where you say one day but never take the first step. That place will kill you slowly, not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, purposefully. Comfort is a silent assassin that kills destiny not with a sword but with softness. Some people aren't stuck because they're incapable. They're stuck because they're comfortable. It's not the lack of opportunity, it's the addiction to ease. They won't walk into the unknown because they've made a bed in the familiar. They won't answer the call because they're afraid of the cost. But the truth is, your calling will never fit inside your comfort zone. It will always stretch you, pull you, press you, and ask for parts of you that you thought were safe to keep. Comfort wants to convince you that survival is enough. But you weren't born just to make it through. You were born to move mountains, break cycles, ignite fire. You were called to lead, build, speak, heal, restore, create, transform. You were never designed to blend in with average when greatness has always been your inheritance. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're not stretching, you're not stepping. And if you're not stepping, you're standing still, and stagnation in the kingdom is regression. There's no such thing as neutral ground when you're carrying purpose. You're either moving forward or slowly being lulled back to sleep by the lullaby of comfort. You'll never know how powerful your faith is until you're forced to walk on water. You'll never see the miracles if you stay seated in the boat. Comfort says, stay seated. Calling says, step out. Comfort says, be quiet. Calling says, speak louder. Comfort says, keep the peace even if you lose your voice. Calling says, declare truth even if it costs you comfort. And it will cost you. The cost of stepping into your calling is often being misunderstood, misrepresented, even mistreated. But the cost of staying comfortable, it's missing the move of God in your life. It's missing the very thing you were born to become. Comfort may keep you safe, but it won't keep you significant. It may keep you entertained, but it won't keep you empowered. It may keep you liked, but it won't keep you lit. The world doesn't need more people who played it safe. The world is crying out for people who said, I'll go even if it's hard. I'll step, even if I'm scared. I'll move even if I don't have it all figured out. Comfort wants your silence, but calling demands your sound. Comfort says fit in. Calling says stand out. Comfort keeps you small. Calling requires you to stretch. You're not here to play it safe. You're here to shake something. You're here to break something. You're here to release something that's been locked inside of you for too long. But that release won't happen in comfort. It happens in commitment, in sacrifice, in obedience. Comfort will always ask you to sit when the Spirit says, stand. Comfort will always invite you to pause when heaven says, push. Comfort is easy, but nothing powerful was ever born from easy. Pressure is not your punishment. It's your preparation. The very thing you've been praying God would take away might be the very thing He's using to produce your oil. We live in a world that avoids pressure, runs from tension, and seeks the path of least resistance. But heaven's blueprint has always been different. God doesn't produce power in comfort. He forges it in fire. Pressure is the classroom where power is taught. It's the gym where your spiritual muscle is built. It's the press that extracts the oil you keep asking for. You want the anointing? Get ready for the pressure. You want to be used? Get ready to be pressed. You want to carry power? Get ready to be crushed. Because nothing significant comes without squeezing. Grapes don't produce wine until they've been crushed. Olives don't release oil until they've been pressed. And you won't carry weight in the spirit until you've been through seasons where everything around you tried to break you but didn't. Some of the pressure you're under isn't from the enemy, it's from God's hand preparing you. He's not punishing you, He's proving you. The crushing season is where He removes your reliance on popularity, on perfection, on human applause. It's where He strips away every idol you didn't know you had. It's where He asks, will you still obey me when it hurts? Will you still trust me when you don't understand? Because true power is born when your yes to God survives your discomfort. People want your glow, but they don't want your grind. They want your shine, but not your squeeze. They admire the oil, but ignore the oil press. What they don't see are the silent nights you endured, the prayers you cried with trembling hands, the moments you questioned your assignment but stayed anyway. The oil you're walking in now didn't come from ease, it came from endurance. From not quitting when everything inside of you screamed for comfort. Pressure exposes what's in you. It doesn't lie. When you're pressed, your purity or your pride will show. When life squeezes you, what comes out is what you've been filled with. If you've been filled with fear, fear comes out. If you've been filled with faith, faith flows. So pressure isn't your enemy, it's your mirror. It tells you what still needs to go and what God is refining in you. Some of you are under pressure right now in your finances, in your faith, in your relationships, in your assignment. And it feels like something is breaking. But let me shift your perspective. What's breaking isn't you. It's the shell around you. The pressure is unlocking the power within you. You're not falling apart. You're falling into alignment. There's power inside you that has never been accessed because comfort kept it dormant. But pressure wakes things up. Pressure draws out what you didn't even know you had. It makes your prayers raw, your worship real, your dependence on God unshakable. You stop performing and start pressing in. You stop pretending and start producing. You stop trying to look strong and start becoming strong. Pressure doesn't cancel purpose. It carries it. And when you come out of that pressing season, you won't be the same. You won't just speak with knowledge. You'll speak with authority. You won't just walk with talent. You'll walk with weight. Because the pressure didn't just teach you, it transformed you. Everyone wants to be used, but no one wants to be pressed. Everyone wants the mountaintop, but no one wants the grind of the valley. But make no mistake, the valley is where your voice gets its oil. The tension is where your testimony gets its truth. The crushing is where your calling gets its character. That's where power is born. Everybody talks about overflow. Everybody prays for favor, for open doors, for next level elevation. But overflow isn't random, it's released through radical obedience. You can't live in rebellion and expect divine results. You can't walk in delay and expect supernatural flow. The oil does not rest on potential. It rests on obedience. Heaven doesn't respond to lip service. It responds to a yielded heart that says, yes, Lord, when it's easy, and still says, yes, Lord, when it's uncomfortable, unclear, and unfair. The oil you're praying for doesn't fall on your convenience. It falls on your commitment. It doesn't chase after comfort. It chases after surrender. Obedience is what unlocks overflow. You want the outpouring, but can God trust you to pour yourself out first? You want the increase, but have you increased your willingness to obey even when it costs you the approval of others, the plan you built, or the timing you wanted? There's a reason why obedience is such a battle. Because every time you say yes to God, you say no to your flesh. Every act of obedience is a declaration of war. Against comfort, against culture, and against compromise. Obedience isn't just about doing what God says. It's about doing it when he says it. How he says it, even when your emotions scream the opposite. Obedience will make you walk away from what looks good to walk into what is God. It'll make you release what's familiar to grab hold of what's faith-filled. It'll call you out of the boat and make you walk on water while the storm is still raging. That's not easy. That's not logical, but it's obedient. And that's where the oil flows. The reason some people never walk in overflow is because they're stuck negotiating with God. They're willing to give him a part, but not the whole. They'll obey in public, but rebel in private. They'll follow him when it makes sense, but abandon ship when it gets uncomfortable. But obedience is not partial. It's not selective. It's not seasonal. It's complete, and it's costly. God doesn't anoint control. He anoints surrender. And surrender looks like moving even when you don't understand. It looks like building the ark when there's no rain. It looks like praising in the prison before the chains fall off. It looks like standing on truth when everyone else bows to pressure. That kind of obedience in the dark. Obedience under fire. Obedience when it costs you everything. That's the kind that produces oil. Overflow doesn't come when you shout louder. It comes when you obey quicker. It comes when your obedience isn't delayed by doubt or drowned by excuses. Every time God speaks, there's a window for movement. And what you do in that window determines what flows through your life. The problem is many people want confirmation instead of obedience. They want clarity instead of faith. But God isn't obligated to repeat what he's already spoken. Delayed obedience is still disobedience, and disobedience will clog your flow. You could be praying for overflow while your lack of obedience is damming up the very stream heaven wants to release in your life. The oil is attracted to alignment. When your will aligns with his word, that's when things break open. When your steps align with his strategy, that's when overflow shows up. Not because you were perfect, but because you were willing to move, willing to shift, willing to release your plans and pick up his purpose. Obedience unlocks things your gifting never could. It opens doors your resume never earned. It brings provision you didn't even pray for, because heaven always honors a surrendered, not a yes rooted in comfort, a yes rooted in faith. In trust, in devotion, in a heart posture that says, Lord, I don't need to understand, I just need to obey. You keep asking God to take you higher, but are you prepared to be pulled apart? Elevation always requires separation. Before God lifts you, he will strip you. Before he reveals you, he will refine you. Before you carry more oil, you must carry less weight. And most of the time, that weight comes in the form of attachments. People, patterns, places, habits, conversations, mindsets, environments. He will not pour sacred oil into a vessel that's still tethered to things that sabotage its capacity. You can't take everyone with you where you're going. Some people were only meant to walk with you to the edge of purpose, not into it. Some relationships served your survival but cannot serve your assignment. Some environments affirmed your now, but will destroy your next. And the sooner you accept that elevation is not always a crowd event, the sooner you'll realize that separation is not rejection, it's redirection. When God begins to separate you, it won't always feel spiritual, it'll feel personal. People you thought would always be with you will suddenly shift. Support will dry up. Conversations that once sparked you will begin to drain you. Places that once felt like home will begin to feel too small. Don't panic. Don't cling. That's God nudging you out of what's familiar into what's necessary. That's God saying, I'm calling you up, and to go up you must come out. Separation doesn't mean you're better than others. It means you're becoming different from what you used to be. It means your appetite is changing. It means your discernment is sharpening. It means your spirit is being prepared to carry something weightier. And that weight cannot rest on a divided vessel. You can't carry both oil and old attachments. You can't carry new glory in a contaminated environment. You can't walk into fresh anointing while still trying to manage what God told you to leave. God often isolates before he elevates. Ask Joseph. Ask David. Ask Jesus. Before the crown came the cave. Before the throne came the wilderness. Before the resurrection came the grave. Separation was never punishment. It was always preparation. He removes you from the noise so you can recognize his voice. He removes you from distractions so you can recover your identity. He removes you from the crowd so you stop performing and start becoming. And here's the part most don't talk about: separation hurts. It breaks your routine. It challenges your loyalty. It reveals your dependencies. But that pain has a purpose. It purifies. It clears the room so that heaven can fill it. It exposes what you've idolized. It forces you to confront your comfort. And that confrontation is the doorway to your consecration. You might feel lonely, but you're not alone. You're being set apart. You might feel like you're losing, but you're actually being launched. When God starts cutting things off, it's because he's preparing you to stand in places others can't handle. Elevation isn't about status, it's about stamina. It's about being able to stand in divine spaces without crumbling under the weight of glory. That's why he separates before he elevates. So you can recognize that your source was never the crowd. Your security was never in the circle. Your worth was never tied to who clapped for you. When the voices go silent and the noise fades, what's left is your core. And God is far more interested in who you're becoming than who's accompanying you. Sometimes the pruning will feel like punishment, but it's making room for the promise. Sometimes the breaking will feel like betrayal, but it's building your foundation. Sometimes the isolation will feel unbearable, but it's preparing you to carry what few ever will. If you're going to rise, you have to release. If you're going to carry the oil, you have to make peace with the separation. You say you want fire, but are you willing to become the sacrifice? Because fire doesn't fall on convenience. It falls on the altar. And nothing gets on the altar unless it's surrendered, unless it's laid down, unless it dies. Fire-filled lives demand sacrifice. They demand letting go of what makes you feel safe, so you can take hold of what makes you unstoppable. You don't get to walk in fire while still living in flesh. You don't get to burn for God while holding on to idols. Something has to go. You're asking for fire, but fire isn't pretty. It consumes. It purifies. It exposes. It strips. Fire changes the nature of what it touches. And if you're not willing to be changed, then you're not ready to burn. You can't stay the same and be ignited at the same time. The same mindset, the same habits, the same spiritual laziness, none of that can go with you into the fire. The flame will reveal what's real. And if your heart isn't on that altar, all that's left is performance. The truth is, fire doesn't fall on potential. It falls on sacrifice. On the ones who say, Lord, take all of me. On the ones who pray, not just my gift, not just my voice. Take my pride, my plans, my control, my fear, my ego, my comfort. That's who God sends fire to. The fully yielded, the radically surrendered, the dangerously obedient. The ones who have decided that no amount of comfort is worth forfeiting the flame. We admire the ones who burn, but we don't see what it costs them to carry that heat. We love their sermons, their anointing, their presence, but don't overlook their process. Because fire isn't cosmetic, it's crucifying. It kills the flesh so the spirit can live. It kills your preferences so his power can flow. It kills your agenda so his assignment can come alive in you. That's why it costs. We want revival but don't want the removal. We want the supernatural but don't want the sacrifice. We want the power of Elijah but not the isolation of the wilderness. We want to call down fire from heaven but we won't lay our own lives down first. The truth is, fire always comes after something dies. If you're asking for more fire, then get ready for something in you to be laid down. That attitude, that habit, that relationship, that pride, that bitterness, that fear you keep protecting. If you don't lay it down, it will become the lid that blocks your flame. Every move of God starts with a sacrifice. Every flame that changes lives starts with a heart that says, God, I'm done playing it safe. You can't have a global fire and a shallow heart. You can't shift atmospheres while staying lukewarm. If you want to carry the fire, you have to become the altar. That means choosing prayer over popularity, holiness over hype, integrity over image. That means choosing the secret place over social media. That means fasting when no one knows, worshiping when no one's watching, obeying when no one's clapping. You can't manipulate the fire of God. It only comes when the cost is paid. And make no mistake, the fire will cost you your comfort. It will cost you the crowd. It will cost you your plan. But what you gain is weight, power, clarity, and intimacy with God. There's a reason he sends fire to the altar, because the altar is where you stop managing and start surrendering. Some of you are frustrated because the flame hasn't fallen yet, but have you built the altar? Have you made room for the fire you're asking for? Are you willing to sacrifice what's easy